The Blast from Our Past Network.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for chills and thrills await you. It's time for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Stay with a friend, say your prayers as grisly ghouls close in to seal your doom, and enjoy this bonus episode of Podcasting After Dark.
Hey everybody, welcome to a special episode of Podcasting After Dark. I am one half of the pad team, Corey aka Sleazy C, and I am flying solo tonight. Zach unfortunately got the COVID. He came down with it. He got the attack. And he's doing okay. Kristen's doing okay, and Bodie's doing okay. But we were not able to record our proper review this week. It's going to be Suburbia, a Patreon chosen movie by our pal Robert. And I've got the movie all broken down and ready to go once Zach is feeling better. So hopefully that'll be tomorrow, and then we can get it out by the following week. So strap in tight for a solo review by yours truly. This week, I am going to be reviewing Evil Dead the Game. Came out in 2022. Came out earlier this year. I've been playing the hell out of it. And I figured, I'm a gamer. I figured a lot of you all are gamers as well. And of course, the Evil Dead / Army of Darkness franchise is something that is very near and dear to a lot of our hearts. There's a lot of cross-pollination, between Evil Dead and Podcasting After Dark and video games and everything. So I figured I'd talk about this because I've been playing the hell out of it since it launched. The funny thing is, this is my second solo video game review. The first one, I think it was a Patreon exclusive. I can't even remember. It was like season 1. And I reviewed World War Z, the game, because I was playing that as well. This is the second video game review, and the irony, but not at all planned out, is that the same people who made World War Z also made Evil Dead the game, Saber Interactive. So I guess I'm a fan. Never really, thought about it before, but here we are. So for those of you who, don't keep up with video game news, or, and you don't play as many video games, I hope this episode is still maybe slightly entertaining, maybe informative, probably short enough for you to just listen to and get by with. So I don't foresee this being a particularly long episode, but I hope everybody does enjoy it. So what kind of a game is Evil Dead the game? I must say Evil Dead 2. It's hard saying Evil Dead without saying Evil Dead 2. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Vern? So what kind of a game is it? It's an online co-op survival horror game with PvP elements. Basically, it's 4v1. You play as a team of 4 survivors and against one player who is controlling the Kandorian Demons. So, first off, there is no story to this game. It is just an online, game where you play with other people and you try to finish the objectives and everything. Basically, survivors, they need to collect a map pieces to find the pages for the Necronomicon. And then you also have to find the dagger. Once you find those 2 pieces, you can attack these giant floating druid creatures by attacking them with the dagger, essentially, all 4 of you together. During this whole entire time, the player who plays as the Kandorian Demon is supposed to be stopping them at any point in time throughout the mission. Like I said, there's no story whatsoever. So you basically just jump into a match and you play it. And you select from 4 separate classes. Survivors select from 4 separate classes, and I'll get into that a little bit in a second. There is an offline mode that are these story missions. They're not really like stories. There's not like any cinematography, cutscenes or something like that. They're just kind of a way to learn the game, sort of tutorials, things to unlock. You can play them solo. There are, I believe, about 8 of these mission modes. Once you beat them, you kind of don't really go back to it. That's not the meat and potatoes of this game. The meat and potatoes is the online co-op, the game itself. Now, there are variations of that. You can play with 4 other people, survivors, against an AI Kandorian Demon. You can play normal, so 4 people, 4 friends, whatever, against another human Kandorian Demon. Or you can play a private match and everybody, on a private server and everything like that. If you play anything other than the proper online co-op mode, you don't get as much XP points to level your characters up with. I will get into that in a second as well. So if you're going to pop in the Evil Dead game, what you're expecting, you're going to play one of 2 things, like game modes. You're either going to play the missions, and there's not enough to warrant like just buying the game just for that. Or you're going to jump into an online match and you're going to play as survivors, or you're going to play as a Kandorian Demon. Right now, I've been playing mostly, when I play by myself, I play mostly as the Kandorian Demon. But when I play with friends, because we basically play, there's about 3 or 4 of us, not enough to play a full proper private match, but enough for us to kind of have a group together and jump online and, bring another person in, or, play against a human Kandorian Demon. Now, when you jump online, either solo, with a group, if you don't have all the people that you need to fill the survivor slots, there is, it will populate that from other people out there in the world who are also playing it online. There is crossplay. So if you're on PlayStation, it can draw from Xbox people and all that kind of stuff. So it's got full crossplay and everything, PC and whatnot, which is great. So the 2 separate, there's 2 gameplays to it. There is the survivor gameplay aspect, and there is the Kandorian Demon. So for the survivors, you pick from one of 4 classes. You have a leader class, you have a warrior class, which is good at melee attacks, like hand-to-hand stuff. You have a hunter class, which excel at ranged weapons, and you have a support class. So within those classes, you can pick different characters from the Evil Dead franchise. This is where all the fan service sort of comes into play. Under the leader class, you can choose from Ash vs. Evil Dead, so he's older. You can choose Annie Nobi or Lord Arthur. In the warrior class, you can choose Ash from Army of Darkness. You have Scotty, you have Henry the Red, and you have Mia Allen from the remake, and they just dropped her last week. In the hunter class, you have Ash from Evil Dead 2. You have Ed Getley. You have Kelly Maxwell, voiced by Dana De Lorenzo, and Amanda Fisher from Ash vs. Evil Dead. And then finally, in the support class, you have Ash from Evil Dead. You have Cheryl Williams, voiced by Ellen Sandweiss. You have Pablo, voiced by Ray Santiago. And you have David Allen from the remake. So you'll notice that there are multiple Ashes. Each Ash looks like that version of him. So the support Ash from Evil Dead looks like Ash from, 1980, like 81, way back in the day. And Ash from Ash vs. Evil Dead looks older and current and everything. When you're playing the game, you're actually in the game. It's a third-person perspective, so the camera's behind your character and everything like that. You have to manage 2 meters. You have to manage a stamina meter and a fear meter. Now, the cool thing is younger characters like Ash from Evil Dead has more stamina than older characters like Ash from Ash versus Evil Dead. It's neat that way. So like Kelly Maxwell probably has more stamina than say Cheryl Williams does. They just go sort of off age and everything. Same as fear meters. Leader classes don't get scared as easily, and then the other ones do get scared quicker. You stay in a group and your fear meter won't go up as quickly. Now, why that matters, if your fear meter goes too high, you show up on the map for the Kandorian Demon, and you can also be possessed. So you want to manage your fear meter. You also want to manage your resources like health, amulets that create a shield, weapons like hand-to-hand weapons, melee weapons. You can only carry one melee weapon at a time and one ranged weapon at a time, like pistols and shotguns and stuff like that. You have to manage, you have to find ammo in the world and all that kind of stuff. You basically run around the map trying to do the objectives as a survivor, loot, like looking for items that you're going to need, fighting off deadites, so they're not controlled by the other player, they're just random deadite, AI controlled deadites around the map to kind of molest you and fuck with you and everything. You fight them off and whatnot, and you're supposed to work together as a team to take down the druids at the end. If you're the Kandorian Demon, you have 4 separate deadites to choose from. You have the Warlord class, who is Henrietta. All right, let me roll back. So each of the classes, when you're playing as a deadite, each of the classes has a hero character you can basically build up to a boss, and also regular units and elite units that you can spawn all over the map. Your basic play mechanics is you fly around the map. It looks like the camera from Evil Dead, like you are the Kandorian Demon flying through the woods and everything. If you go through fences, they explode. It's really cool, but you're invisible to the players. So you can choose from 4 different classes. The Warlord class, your boss character is going to be Henrietta, and she comes with like zombies. Your Puppeteer class is Elagos from Ash vs. Evil Dead, and his support units are demons. The Necromancer class is Evil Ash from Army of Darkness, and he has a bunch of skeletons. And the Plague Bringer class, which they just dropped, is the She-Bitch, is the boss, the witch from Army of Darkness. And her army is, or her subordinates are like sort of slimy zombies. So the play mechanics as a Kandorian Demon is a bit different. Like I said, you fly around the map. You're invisible technically, and you can set traps for the survivors to run into. The traps will cause enemy units to spawn for them to fight, and it will increase their fear meter. You also have to kind of mine energy to sort of drop those traps. You have to sort of manage a monetary system of sorts, where you get points that you can, in the game, you put it towards different things in the game. So you upgrade your characters outside of the game with overall, progressive perks and everything. I'm talking survivors and also deadites. But while you're playing in the game, you create points that then allow you to dump those points into something in the game. So for a deadite, if you're playing as a Kandorian Demon, you can't unlock your minions until you actually spend points to put into unlocking that. You can't unlock possession until you put points into unlocking that as well. Now you get points quickly. That builds up fast. It's a good balancing issue. It doesn't slow you down too much. It makes it so that if you find the people on the map early, because you don't know where the survivors are, it just means you're not going to be super, super powered up. But the Deadite, the Kandorian Demon player, does level up during the course of the match. Now, each of these matches take about 20 to 30 minutes at most to play. So it's a fun little game to, kind of put to the side and, or just play when you have a chance. You have 30 minutes to play, bada bing, bada boom, pop at a match, and you move on. Or you can, spend more time with it or whatever. But during the course of playing that match, you can, for the Kandorian Demons and for the survivors, you can level up your character in that match. Like for the survivors, you can level up their melee damage, you can level up their range damage, and this is on top of what you've already put points into, in their overall progression of the characters. It's really not as complicated as I'm making it sound to be. It's fun. It gives you a lot of options to sort of play characters the way you want to play them, and to gives you something to do during the course of the match. So, what does the world look like? There are 2 maps. There's one map that is the Army of Darkness map. It's got the castle, it's got the windmill, and it's got the graveyards and everything. And that map is set up the same every time. It's like a locked map. It's designed. It's the castle is going to be in the same place every time. Now you take that map, for example. The survivors are going to start off in one end. The Kandorian Demon is going to start off in the other end. And the job of the Kandorian Demon is to find the survivors and then start just trying to beat them down and kill them. The survivors are going to be running around the map trying to find map pieces and then trying to find the dagger and the Necronomicon and then fight the druids. Now, while they're running around the map, if they drive a car, they will show up on the demon's map. If they make noise like shooting a gun, they will show up on the demon's map. And if they get scared, they will show up on the demon's map, thus helping the demon to find them. The other map, with all the same gameplay elements, but there's another map, the main map, is a woods map where essentially it has a bunch of different locations to it. It has like the Nobi house, the cabin, all kinds of like little things like a development area and everything that all have stuff in them that you can do. And everything's randomly generated. The map pieces are randomly generated. The dagger's randomly generated where it's going to be. It's never in the same place twice. But for this main map, the modern day map, they can move those pieces anywhere around and shuffle it up any way they want. So the Nobi cabin could be in the upper left one game, could be in the lower right in another game, and it's always randomly generated. And like I said, with the Army of Darkness map, while everything may still be there constantly, like in the same location, the objectives are going to be randomly located throughout the match. So while you're in the game itself, and you're in there, you're fighting and everything, you're a survivor, you can attack with melee weapons, you can attack with guns or ranged weapons. There are a huge selection of each, and they keep adding new ones. The weapons can have different properties to them. They can be, common, uncommon, rare, or, legendary, and they can do all kinds of different crazy stuff, and it's a lot of fun. Some of your characters are weapon masters for a certain particular type. So like Ed, for example, is a crossbow weapon master. So if you find a crossbow in the game, you get extra perks with that. On top of it, when you're doing melee attacks on enemies, when you break an enemy's balance bar, the enemies have 2 kinds of bars. They have a health meter and they have a balance meter. When you knock the balance meter all the way down to 0, you can initiate like a finisher move. And every weapon has like multiple attacks, multiple finisher moves, and they're all cinematic, and like the camera like will zoom in while you just hack off a demon's head or something. It's bloody, it's fun, it's really neat, and it really fits with the feel of the franchise and everything. Even as you're attacking just deadites and whatnot, like zombies and anything like that, like their intestines are falling out as they're taking damage, their arms are getting hacked off, and of course if you hack off like both their arms, they just can't do as much damage and everything. It's really cool, it's really bloody, it's really violent. When you're as a survivor, when you get possessed by a Kandorian Demon, so that's one of your abilities as the Kandorian Demon. Once a character gets into the point where they can be possessed, you jump in them, and then you basically start using their weapons to attack, either, swing, melee attack, or shoot their own teammates. And to get that person out of a possessed state, their teammates have to then attack them back. And once, you're knocked out of them, they take damage as well. So it's a lot of fun to kind of possess people. You also have this like jump scare thing that you can do to also raise their fear meter and everything. But overall, like, the game just exudes Evil Dead. It doesn't feel like they took, if anyone's familiar with Friday the 13th, it's sort of a similar game. There's one person against multiple other people. It's like, it's not a balanced, PvP sort of scenario. They didn't just like shoehorn Evil Dead into that, game style. They really made it all work and fit. When you play as the Kandorian Demon, I feel like it's from the movie, I feel like I am the Kandorian Demon flying around. There's good humor in it. So when you're the demon, there's a voice talking to you, kind of making fun of you if you're fucking up or losing, or the humans are winning and everything. It's really cool. And then when you get possessed, they look like, like Ash will look like his face will turn into evil Ash. Everyone has a possessed version of themselves. That's really cool. Graphics wise, Ash looks amazing. The whole game looks amazing. All the characters look exactly like who they are supposed to look like. Ash looks exactly like Bruce Campbell, voiced by Bruce Campbell, of course. But it looks like him when he's old, and it looks like him when he's young. You have the Mia character from the remakes in there. She looks like Jane Levy. It's really cool. The violence is great. The gameplay itself is a lot of fun. But if you're not into playing games online, that's going to be a huge, I think, drawback for you. But it's still fun. And I'm not the biggest online game player. When I play as the Kandorian Demon, I'm having a good time. I feel, especially because you're invisible, I don't feel like my mistakes are on full display. That being said, I don't think I'm very good at it, but I do have a lot of fun. And I've been playing this for a bit with my friends, and I foresee that we will keep playing it for a while. I hope they put out some new, DLC. I hope they keep putting out new characters and everything. Maybe in the future they can add, I'm a big fan of Ash vs. Evil Dead, the TV show. And the fact that it ended, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, it ended with like him going into the future, and like there's this Mad Max looking scenario, and I jokingly refer to as Mad Ash Deadite Road. And I hope they add stuff like that into the game. Maybe they could add more people from the TV show, like Lucy Lawless's character and stuff like that. But we'll see. Right now, I feel confident enough to say that if you're a fan of the franchise, you're not afraid of jumping online and just, playing with people is always going to be a crapshoot. Some people are going to play it well. Some people are going to goof off. And, I don't really get upset if people aren't playing it quote unquote properly. I wish that they would, but it doesn't like bring me down or anything, because you're still like unlocking points every time you play. You're leveling up your profile, you're leveling up the characters that you're using, and then on top of it, so I didn't really mention the characters, what you can level up, but survivors have 25 points to sort of put into their characters over the course of leveling them up. Level 25 is the max, and you have a lot of selections you can choose from, like permanently lowering your fear, or maybe permanently increasing your melee damage, stuff like that. All kinds of options and everything, and it's really cool. And the nice thing is you can experiment, because you can take change your points and redistribute them anytime, no penalty whatsoever. You can redistribute all the points for the characters, so you can really build out different versions of each character. As of this moment, they have not added different presets, so you can make different versions of each characters, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was somewhere in the future. And the same goes for the Kandorian Demons. You get points that you can unlock new traits and attributes and everything. For them, their cap is level 45, so you'll have 45 points to spend there. But also, just like with the survivors, you'll never be putting every point into something, because there's just more slots than you'll ever have points for, but you can redistribute them as you see fit, which is great. I think it's a lot of fun. So, you can go online and find different builds for different demons and different characters, and, people will have opinions on what their favorite weapon is or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's the game is really made for easily experimented with, so even those of us, and me included, who don't really mess with games online, I'm confident in saying that this game is very user-friendly, and I think it's not very punishing, but at the same time, I don't win the match a lot, and I like that. It has a good challenge to it. So I think this is a fun one, guys. I think if this was ever on your radar and you haven't picked it up yet, I think you should give it a try. I think it really hits everything that Evil Dead is known for. It's humorous, it's violent, it's bloody, but it's like over the top bloody, like we're expecting from Evil Dead, and it just brings together all the universes and everything. And I should probably mention one last thing that you might not sort of be aware of, but yes, in a match you can have 4 ashes. Like, you can have multiple ashes. You just can't have the same Ash from the same class. So you could have someone playing as young Ash and someone playing as Ash versus Evil Dead, but you can't have 2 people playing as young Ash or 2 people playing as Ash versus Evil Dead. So it's fun. You got to kind of leave your, suspension of disbelief at the door, and, don't really expect a story to go with it. This is just a fun love letter to the franchise, but it's better. It's more expertly crafted than I think it has any right to be, and that most, licensed games are. So I recommend it. Check it out. Maybe wait for a sale, especially if you're apprehensive about the online components. But overall, I think it's fun. I think you all will enjoy it as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Evil Dead the game. I've been playing it since day one, and it's heavy in my rotation. I'm still playing World War Z as well. Kind of seem like I just play the same 5 or 6 games for the past few years in rotation, but oh well, what are you gonna do? So I hope you guys like this episode. I wasn't sure how long I was gonna be able to, go by myself and just keep talking by myself, but I guess 30 minutes is not too shabby, or in that range once I trim it down a little bit. But let us know on social media and on our Patreon page and everything what you thought of this episode. Let me know if you're playing Evil Dead and what you think of the game as well. And of course, check out every episode on the BFOP network. We're having a ton of fun all around the network. Check us out on Patreon as well. You know the routine. You know the score. I hope everyone is liking the Carpenter Factor on Patreon. Zach and I are having a great time. We just had Adam on from The Blast from Our Past talking about John Carpenter's The Thing, which he had never seen before. So it was a great new perspective on the film. So if you're not a Patreon member, go check that out. And if you are, or if you just want a free way to help the show out, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Those are a great way to help out the show. So hope you guys have fun. I hope Zach is feeling better. And if all goes well, we'll get to Suburbia next week. But until then, as always, I was waiting for Zach to say it, but he's not here. We'll catch you on the dark side.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Support Podcasting After Dark on Patreon. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Podcasting After Dark. And visit us next time for another installment of Podcasting After Dark with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.